While many states are shutting things down as COVID-19 cases spike, the Northeast is moving cautiously ahead with reopening plans, with a lot of restrictions, of course, still in place. With us now is the governor of Connecticut, Ned Lamont. Governor, good to see you here this morning. Your state was on the path to phase 3 when you paused things earlier this month. Just give us an idea of where things stand now in Connecticut.
Well, good morning, Alexis. For the last couple of months, our infection rate has been trending down. We're now at about 1%, which is really good compared to the rest of the country. We've got good neighbors, by the way. They have pretty low infection rates as well, like Massachusetts and New York. And that's allowing us to continue reopening. What we did was outdoor dining, stores. This was a couple months ago. Now indoor dining, and pretty much 95% of our economy is now open. We are being very cautious, though. One of the things that worry, Governor Cuomo and myself is flights coming in from those highly infected states. So we have put a quarantine there. And we are planning on trying to get our schools open on time this September. If we can't do that with a 1% infection rate, nobody across the country will be able to get their schools open.
I want to talk more about schools. It's spurred a little bit of controversy, Governor, because there are now reports that new cases of COVID-19 are showing up at an alarming rate among young people, school-age children. I don't know if that's the case there in your state, but what's the risk that doesn't happen, or that you have to that you bring the kids back to school in the fall and then have to quickly reverse it?
Well, it's crazy to open up the schools for in-classroom if you have a 10, 15, 20, 25% infection rate like you see in some of these states. But I think we've mitigated the risk here. We are going to have all the kids wearing masks. And working with former FDA Commissioner Scott Gottlieb, who thankfully is a Connecticut resident, we've put in place strict cohorting. So one fifth grade class does not hang out with the rest of the middle school. And that means that if there is an infection, it's limited just to those 20 kids.
Governor, you oppose extending that $600 a week unemployment extension. Why is that the case, and what do you propose?
Look, I think we've got to extend the unemployment. We still have a double-digit unemployment rate here. And I would be generous when it comes to those companies that are still not open, our event planners, for example, or bars. There we've got to be generous. But for those companies that are open, which is most of our economy, I want to do everything I can to encourage them to get back to work. We can get them back to work safely. So I was sort of more inclined towards giving people an incentive to get back to work and not doing a big $600 increase for everybody else who are still unemployed.
Governor, before you were governor, you were in the private sector as a businessman and a job creator. How important is it that this country not go back into lockdown like we saw just a few weeks ago? And how important is it that we try to balance the health needs of the country with the economic needs?
To me, it's not really a balance. We've been extraordinarily cautious about how we reopen, just so we would not have to go backwards like they have in a number of these other states. I thought going backwards, reclosing, talking about doing in April, doing now what we were doing back in April would just be a body blow to our confidence in economy. So I have led with public health every step of the way. And because of that, people have had confidence to go back into the stores, go to those restaurants. I can open this stuff up, but people don't have confidence, it won't work.
Governor, you mentioned you were working with former FDA Chief Dr. Gottlieb, but also on your advisory council and leading it is former PepsiCo CEO Indra Nooyi, someone I've talked to many times through the years. What is she and Dr. Gottlieb telling you about the reopening process? Can it be done successfully as the pandemic is still raging on?
Yeah, Indra helped lead our reopen committee. We had a business and we had a scientific team. She has such credibility in the business world. So she urged caution when a lot of people were driving in circles around the governor's residence, beeping their horns saying, reopen now. And she's also giving people confidence now that as we reopen, we could do it safely. And by the way, when we did reopen, we worked closely with all the associations, the retail association, the restaurant association, so they could help us put in place protocols that gave people confidence.
Would love to get your take on mask wearing, another bit of controversy amidst all this. There are some states that are not mandating mask wearing. Do you think that there should be? We just saw Georgia governor come out this morning saying, yes, now he's reversing what he had said earlier and said, yes, we do want folks to wear masks in this state for at least the next 4 weeks.
Wear the mask. Absolutely. And I think it should be coming from the national voice. I did think it's irresponsible to have all these mixed signals. Look at the National Retail Federation. They've been very clear. They've got stores in 50 different states. They can't have 50 different sets of mask protocols. So Walmart and the other guys are saying, wear the mask. It leads to much more consistent behavior going forward, and that clarity will be very helpful.
I have a quick follow-up for you on the quarantining, because I know you're working with governors in New Jersey and New York to quarantine people who are coming from sort of these hot spots within our country. How do you police something like that, Governor?
Right now, what we've done is we've sent messages to all the travel agents and the airlines and the hotels. The number of people visiting Connecticut from Miami and Texas and Phoenix is down dramatically just because they know we are a quarantine state. And then when they land, we're going to have an online form that they have to fill out that tells us they understand the quarantine rules and where they are going to be quarantining. And we reserve the right to give them a call and remind them, are you quarantining? Because this is an important part of our rules.
Governor,
so far, I think it's working, but it's a big risk we have.
Governor, throughout this whole process, you've consulted frequently with Dr. Falchi. What's your view on the criticism that he has received from the Trump administration this week?
I think it's dumb. I mean, Falchi has so much credibility on both sides of the aisle with consumers and business and labor. You want somebody with credibility talking to the groups out there so we know what's going on. You don't want a lot of mixed messages. We were getting mixed messages from the White House, and that's why all the governors in this region got together and talked about masks and talked about distancing. And we slowly closed down our economy when we had to, when we did it together. So we had a consistent message. Dr. Falchi expresses that really well.
Give us an idea of how Connecticut's economy is faring right now, Governor, and what the unemployment picture is like in your state, and how are you doing in getting those unemployment checks to people within your state?
Well, our big focus is getting people back to work. As I told you, we've got most things open right now. And we did better than most of our peers because we never closed down manufacturing. We never closed down outdoor construction. Most of our economy kept going on a cautious way. And that's what my number one priority is. Look, we are getting the unemployment checks out, but you know what we're doing? Attached to those checks is a free online certification program. So rather than sit around collecting a check, waiting for your bar to open, which may be a few months, maybe it's time for a change of career. Maybe you'd like to be a laser welder. We'll get you a free certificate program so you can do that and make the transition. That'd be a big transition.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind trying out laser welding. That's pretty cool. But Governor, you have come out in support of Joe Biden. How would he handle a future pandemic differently than President Trump?
He'd be proactive. He'd be credible. He'd put public health first. He'd have a consistent message, and he'd listen to the scientists. That's a big difference.